dated by hours. Like they'll be live. That's the way it works now. But back in that day, and then they moved up the time slot from 2 a.m. to 1 a.m. But the problem with that is that the number of West Coast events that weren't over by that time, we had to basically redo the show a second time at 2 a.m. Eastern to update. And if they weren't somehow over by the end of that show, we'd have to stay later until the game ended to put it into the show of record that would get re-aired throughout the next day. So I'm living in central Connecticut and coming to work at like 5 o'clock at night, doing a show that aired at 1 a.m. and then 2 a.m. and then getting home at 4 a.m. and then trying to get off the high of being on live TV in time to go to sleep. And then I would sleep throughout the most exposure I've had on cable television in my entire career. From 5 a.m. it would start Eastern time all the way to 1 in the afternoon. I still get people today, and obviously it blows me away when people come up to me with their kids next to them saying that they used to watch me and Stuart Scott mostly before they got on the school bus in the morning because I was on at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., or 6 a.m. nonstop. So I would be sleeping when I got the most exposure of my career. And then I would wake up, I'd have lunch. I don't know what the hell I was doing with my life then, and then going to work and doing it again. And I would have no idea who was watching it. Zero. It was as if I was living on planet Bristol. No clue. And then I would go to New York City and try and have a social life, whenever I had a day off. It was also tough in that regard, too. I'd meet, somebody and immediately say to them, hey, you want to have dinner sometime in like 2 Tuesdays? Try that, come online for size. Like, hey, what are you doing 2 Tuesdays from now? What a weirdo, right? But that's when my next day off was.
That for me.
And so like that was my life in terms of not knowing who's listening, not knowing who's out there, unable to get myself in some sort of social mix, get some sort of thing going that I could have a social life outside of work. I'm not complaining, but that was you asked me what my life was like.
Yeah, when could you tell, though, for the first time that it had kind of blown up?
I don't know. It really wasn't a moment.
It wasn't like TRL.
It might have been like at an ESPYs, ESPY Awards when they put Stuart and I up. We replaced Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann as the guys who did the pre-ESPY Awards show from the balcony of Radio City Music Hall. Dan and Keith always said that they were like the old man Muppets, Stadler and Waldorf, sitting up there in the balcony. And then Stuart and I did it for a couple years and then getting out and about and then, meeting some celebrities who knew who we were. Like that was kind of blowing me away. I just assumed. I had no idea who was watching at all. And now here I am, in 2024 running into people who now have children saying that when they were kids, I would be the ones to either put them to sleep if they were, in teenage years on the West Coast or kids going to school, waking them up. Like that was my life.
In sports, what became more romantic to you as you got more involved and what became less? Meaning, I still love the Cubs, but we worked out with the Cardinals, and I didn't hate the Cardinals where me before I got, or music, right? Like I can also see kind of the gross things about music, but I can also see now when somebody's really good, like it's even that much cooler to me. Like what wasn't as cool about sports and what became even cooler?
I'll be honest with you, Bobby. I'm just not jaded. I'm the fact that, again, like you were there working with my guys at the show, right? You worked with the team there. Sometimes we're sitting there an hour before a show just talking about any old stupid shit, and like talking about this movie, that thing, this thing. And then we're like, you know what, let's do a segment about that movie or this thing or in relation to whatever. And then, a couple times I'll just sit around and I'll say to everybody, like, can you believe this is what we do? Honestly, like I'm not jaded about it. There's things about the sports business that, will make you sick or to your stomach or this about somebody or know that about somebody. But that's just anything with any business. But truly, it's the toy department of life being able to talk sports. And I just, I hope that's the way it will always be.
Do you ever want to not fly too close to the sun with your favorite teams?
Meaning what? What do you mean?
My example now is I have purposefully not pursued a relationship with John Calipari at Arkansas. I am diehard Razorback fan in every way. I'm afraid if I don't like somebody, it's going to affect how hard I root for that team.
Yeah.
So everyone says, by all accounts, he's awesome. I don't want to not like any a part of that because then it takes away like what I love to do most, which is root for Arkansas sports.
Well, let's put it this way, Bobby. You should reach out.
No.
You'll be good.
But
I'm asking. Good. He's going to be fine.
But with like the Jets and like Rex Ryan, like any of them.
Listen, in terms of flying too close, like this particular year with the Jets, I'm backing off for sure. Because at this point in time, I'm slated to call a Week 5 game with them in London. And that's the last thing I want to do is that anybody think that I'm being biased against the Vikings who they're playing against at all. But if anybody who knows me for real, and I'm not shitting you here at all, if they know me for real, that if I'm calling a game, I would not care who wins at all. I just want it to be a close game.
But if you don't like a coach, and I'm not saying any of the coaches, but over your history of being a Jets fan, if you really don't like a coach,
of course it'll ruin the rooting interest. So yeah, I guess if you keep your distance, that makes complete sense that you don't want it ruined, in that regard. But after a while, also, listen, the only teams that affect my emotional output, and this is for real, where I will just say, why am I happier today? Oh, that's right, they won. Or why am I less happy today? Oh, they lost, and I should be a better human being, to myself and everyone around me, are the Michigan Wolverine football team and the New York Yankees. That's it. That's the list. If the Jets lose, it'll be like, well, that's a bummer, but, okay. But those are truly the only two teams that affect my emotions.
Did you ever meet Connor Stallions?
I did not. Meet.
Would you like to?
No, but man, he gave me some great seats once.
Have you?
No, I don't want to meet him. Why would I want to meet him?
I would want to meet him if he was.
Why?
If he was doing, he had a manifesto where nobody got hurt or died or anything.
I understand that, but
he rooted for who you rooted for.
But he was so.
He'd be my hero.
He was so piss poor at it that they've.
That's true.
If I met him, I'd say, "Why were you that sloppy, man?"
I don't know.
And just let me just say this to you, okay? You're referring to the guy who gave out tickets to people so they could sit in geographically advantageous spots to record the opposition sidelines of teams that Michigan was going to play.
That is correct.
Against the rules of the NCAA scouting. I'll just repeat again. I'm sorry if
he would be my hero, though. If I were you, I would love the guy because I'm sure he did it right for a long time.
No, because I don't think he did it right. You know what I mean? Let me ask you this question: how many times have you been on vacation with your lovely wife or anybody else, and you hand somebody a phone saying, "Would you mind taking a picture?" Have you done that before?
Yeah.
Okay. How many times do you get the phone back and the photograph is more of the sky than of you?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay.
95%.
So Connor Stallions is giving tickets to a bunch of people to say, shoot video for me. How often do you think the video came back flat out unusable? Like
most of the time.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Is like everybody thinks that this thing was run to perfection. Okay, the seats were perfect.
I don't think that.
And the videos were perfect.
I'm not even talking about the allegations. I'm talking about he loved them like you did. He gave his whole. He wrote it.
But I would never cheat on behalf of my team.
I'm not even talking about the. You're awfully sensitive. I'm just talking about
you bet I'm
generally.
sensitive.
Like this guy was awesome. If there was anybody that would put his heart and soul into Arkansas like that. I low key would be like, keep your head up, buddy.
No, man.
Let's go.
I would choose a different adjective for him than awesome. I would say
maybe publicly.
Privately. I'll tell it to you privately.
But you never met him. See, I would love him. That would be my dude.
Absolutely not. I want no piece
of
him.
I would do that.
I would like him to leave the scene and never to return.
What about the documentary coming out?
I don't want to see it.
Man, I think I like him more than you do.
Yeah, I know. Just go tell him I said to fuck off. Is that wrong to say? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all. Were you and Harbaugh close? Cool?
Oh, I love him. He's my first quarterback. When I was a freshman, he was a senior. So he was my first Michigan quarterback ever. He was just part of my latest charity run for St. Jude, which you know about that charity very well. And And so he's just I love him. And everybody's like wondering, are you upset that he left Michigan to go to the Chargers? And my answer to that, and I'll repeat it here again, is there's a man-made lake outside of SoFi Stadium. I think he walked on it to sign his contract. I do not care. He hung the banner. He left. He gave me one of the greatest years of my life, not just sports. It was my life. And so good luck to him.
We're going to see him Wednesday. We're going to go out.
Are you really?
Yeah, the Chargers invited us to come out.
How cool is that?
Yes.
So you're going to be?
We're going to
be there?
Flying in Wednesday afternoon with them. Then I have to go speak on Thursday in San Diego. But they were like, "Come out." So we're going to go. I never met them.
When do you land? Because my show studio is 2 minutes away from their facility. Literally a left and a right.
Oh, I've been to your show studio, but I didn't know where the facility was.
They just opened it a month ago. So
that's true.
If you've got time, come back.
You'll be.
I don't know.
I would like to see the guy. My wife was like, "Oh, you're going to see Rich again?"
Yeah,
today.
Okay.
And I was like, "No. When you were coming to the house, she was like, "Oh, how long has it been since you've seen Rich?" And I was like, "Never."
Yeah, we've never met.
She goes, "Wait, what?" I said, "I've spoke to him on the phone."
Yes.
Could you call me very graciously before I went and
I appreciate
covered
it.
for you?
Yeah.
And then we've spoken on Zoom.
Yeah.
But any time that I would be there or when I did your show, you weren't there.
I know. That's the point. It's the point of.
And I was like, I've never met him. She's like, really?
Of sitting in, that I have to be out for you to sit in. Yes.
But I love you. Your guys were so freaking warm and cool to me. And we have a text thread where we just talk about you the whole time. It's just me and all the guys.
I don't know if I want to see that thread.
But they were super nice. Like,
oh, cool.
And accommodating and warm. Your studio's massive.
It's fun. It's like
what's the rent on that place?
It's filled with stuff in there that is under the category from my wife of, where that would look better?
Yeah.
And I'm like, where? Like your studio? Oh, got it. I just walked through your finely, beautifully appointed house to come here. And I thought the question I always ask a bunch of guys is, how much of the stuff in the house is what you brought to the relationship?
Yeah, none.
Zero? Yeah. Well, I saw some guitars on the wall.
So those were, and for a while they weren't making the cut. But it's a little sliver where there's like what's that game called where you slide it?
Sure. With the sawdust on it?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Whatever that is. We have one of those tables.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
that's your contribution?
It is not, but what she has done, which makes it cool, is I haven't collected guitars in a long time, but I used to. But now I have some old ones from artists like Kenny Rogers or who have like signed guitars. Garth Brooks gave me like his guitar he played one night or one day.
Yeah.
But now what my wife has done, she's like, well, you have all these guitars. We don't want to pay for a storage unit. So now we put empty ones up, and some of our friends will come to the house and we'll have an evening, and she'll have them sign guitars and hang them up.
See.
I know, like she elevates it.
Well, what she does is she takes your stuff and turns it from this is what a great stylist would do, is to take your shit and turn it from shit into a piece.
Polished a turd.
You know what I'm saying?
Which my grandma said could not be done.
Yeah, it's now a piece.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like that's now a piece on the wall. It's not your shit on the wall. It's a piece that's on the wall. So kudos to you and your stylish wife.
Yeah, to her.
And your relationship. I have in my house, I have an office. So there's stuff that's in there. And there's stuff that once I put it in the office, it's like, why isn't that on your set? I'll get that question, which is a hint.
To take it to
again, I've been, I've been happily married for 21 years now. And then there is one chair in my house that I brought to the relationship. One. But I bought it with her mom years ago. So it's kind of got like an asterisk on it.
It's a hybrid.
But it's my chair. It's what it used to be in my apartment, and it's still there.
How does the relationship work with both of you being in mostly the same industry?
It's great. I mean, we have a production company together. She is the most collaborative and idea-filled confidant, and she also fills in. So she got her own best mom ever sign because I have my best dad ever sign on my desk, and And she just brings a totally different part of the equation. I kind of dig that when I